Hello and welcome to another edition of the Moving Iron Podcast. This podcast is proudly provided by Axon, helping dealers move more iron for almost 100 years. Find out more at axontire.com. Axon was started almost 100 years ago out of a passion for keeping agriculture moving. It's that same passion that drives them today. With a vision for a better experience for both farmer and dealer, they set out to create a better way to move more iron. When you partner with Axon, you get immediate access to a full range of products and solutions designed to meet the complex needs of today's grower. Axon carries all major brands and sizes of tires, wheels, and tracks. From custom colors and sizes to fully customized wheels, you can have the solution for virtually any problem today's farmer is trying to solve. To find more or become an Axon dealer, please visit axontire.com.
Moving iron in the 21st century. Hard-working people working hard for you and me. Moving iron, time and time again. Through the years you'll find us here. Moving iron.
Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast. Markets with Shawn Hackett. This edition of the Moving Iron Podcast is brought to you by Axon Tire, helping dealers move more iron for the past 100 years. For more information, go to axontire.com. Also, if you're looking for a great place to find great sales tools for your salespeople when it comes to managing their customer base, check out Arrow's line of products at heyarrow.com. Shawn is with Hackett Financial out of Boca Raton, Florida, and he is nice enough to come on a couple times a week to sit down and talk about what's going on. And he's fresh off his Brazilian coffee whirlwind tour, and he is back in the saddle, ready to make things happen. So, Shawn, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Yeah, it was a really, really cool trip. Exhausting, but I learned a lot and met some wonderful, great people and saw some beautiful country. I mean, amazing how beautiful central Brazil can be. It's just awesome. So,
right on. So, coming back after you've made your tour, now you've kind of come back. You've had a chance to digest everything that you saw and the different situations they're in as far as coming in and out of this freeze and drought situation that we saw. What's your overall take on the coffee market now after you've had your chance to digest all this?
I think the number one theme is this, and I think the best way to explain it is explain it with the human body, right? When you're stressed, your immune system goes down. You get more susceptible to getting sick. When you're tired, you're more susceptible to getting sick. Your defenses are down. So if you had a frost, that'd be bad enough. If you have a drought, that would be bad enough. But the combination of the two, in synchronicity, right after each other, in that kind of a timing mechanism, it really created something we have never seen before. To have those two massively stressful climactic conditions occur right after one another, and it just stressed these trees out, Casey, like they've never been stressed out before. So we got these rains. Actually, in the month of October, we've had double to triple the normal amount of rain. So it's been a lot of rain, which is the reason we wanted to go down, because what better time to see how the trees are going to react to the rain than when you go down afterwards. And there was a very sizable main flowering. I mean, there's a lot of flowers. We saw pictures of just looked like snow everywhere. And that's where the good news ended, because the flowers did not lead to forming healthy pellets, healthy buds, where the coffee cherries are going to start growing in December. In fact, we saw exactly the opposite. We saw disease and something called FOMA, which is kind of this black moldy, and it just strips the branches of all. There's not going to be any coffee on those branches. We saw a lot of this starting to emerge, and it happens when you have cool, wet weather right after flowering occurs. It's called FOMA. It's not uncommon. It's just uncommon to have it to this degree. The other thing is we have what they call Bichomino. It's a white fly insect disease that also is a result of the very, very hot, dry weather that led into this extreme, quite frankly, extremely wet event. And they go out and they devour the leaves. So you saw all these leaves, half green, brown, falling to the ground. I mean, you could pick up piles of these. And of course, if you defoliate the tree, you can't form the pellets and the buds that form the cherries. You need that photosynthesis. And we saw a lot of that going on. And of course, we just saw a tremendous amount of frost damage. What was really interesting, Casey, is that we had 2 hard frosts and a soft frost. The soft frost was first, and we had 2 hard frosts. Everybody thought that every frost pretty much impacted the same area, and there wasn't really any new damage. We found that each one was unique in who it impacted, what elevation, how much, and the third frost is where the market sold off. It's at all, and actually there was more damage in that third frost. There were farms that didn't have any damage in the first 2 frosts, and they got completely wiped out on the third frost. So it was a cumulative effect of all these 3 that kind of nailed as many different participants as possible. So I think the takeaway is these trees are extremely tired and weak, and they're just not in the mood to put out a healthy crop this particular year. And we don't think we're done with seeing these insect and disease issues. We think we could actually see more of this as we get into the cherry formation phase. So off to a good start. It looked good. It looked like maybe the rains could rehabilitate. What we saw said absolutely positive. It could and might impact positively the following year's crop. The year one after this one, because you're going to get better vegetative growth. But for this crop, I mean, the damage is done. That's what we clearly saw. The damage is done. And the market has this illusion right now. It's been pausing. It has an illusion that that things can turn around. And I think in December, when the crop tours come out, Casey, and they start counting how many cherries actually formed, I think everyone's going to be shocked at how few cherries actually form from the flowering that took place. So that, in a nutshell, was really the takeaway that we had. So
right on. So based on your hypothesis, when you went down there, is it better than you thought, worse than you thought, about what you expected? I mean, what's your take on that? I
mean, I expected to see a lot of damage. I expected that the tree would be able to, I actually thought that the crop wouldn't flower as much. And that wasn't the case. It actually flowered a lot. And that's actually surprised me how much it flowered. It equally surprised me how poor that flowering it turned out. Meaning, I expected there would be issues, but I mean, I should send you some of these pictures. It's just the most amazing, beautiful. I mean, in a normal year, a flowering like that, I mean, you got a big crop on your hands, and then you look and you go, where's the coffee? It was just amazing how the tree put out what it could, and it laid to rest after that and said, we're done. We can't do anymore. Mm-hmm. I guess that was I would say in aggregate, I wasn't terribly surprised. It was more confirming what I believed was going to be the truth. I guess I just was expecting less flowering than more, and I was just shocked that with that kind of flowering, we didn't have at least more coffee on the trees. So
right on. Okay. So in the same tone there, let's talk about sugar for a little bit, and the sugar cane harvest that they're going through now in Brazil suffered every frost that came through there, I think. So I guess as you take a look at that, did you have any conversations about anyone while you were in Brazil about the sugar cane and some situations that might be there?
Yeah, I mean, typically frost is not too bad for sugar because usually it doesn't impact too wide of an area. And if you harvest it in a couple of weeks, you actually don't have a problem. The problem with this, because we had 3 in a row, you didn't have the opportunity to harvest this crop for 4 weeks. You lost it. And I mean, pretty significant losses. The long-term damage is not going to be anywhere near as great as a tree crop, because a tree crop is more of a, it's this, you do plant new sugar, you get 4 cuttings, and it's a little bit of more of a weed, but there's a lot of damage that's irreversible. That and that's why we've been trading around 19 to 20 cents. I wouldn't call it as egregious as a coffee situation, but as frosts go, I'm not sure we've seen a frost do more damage to the sugar crop in a very, very long time. But I do think most of that is priced into the sugar market. I think I'm not sure too many people are surprised about that. It's pretty easy to see, in sugar where the damage. Whereas coffee is a lot of hidden damage that it just takes time for the market to figure out. So I kind of feel the coffee market has not priced it all in because of the hidden nature of how that crop develops. Where in sugar, I think most people kind of, I don't think there's going to be surprises that things are going to come up short for the where it might come up short is how much ethanol do they produce versus sugar. That there could be that may be where there could still be a surprise one way or the other. Do they do less or more? But from a production standpoint, I don't think the market is surprised at what at least what we saw. So I will say this: tons and tons of soybeans and corn acres going in replacement of coffee. So a lot of the coffee that got, just zero. They just had to stump it. They said, here's our opportunity, diversify, get out. Instead of being a one-trick pony, let's move to especially soybeans. Soybeans everywhere. Soybeans everywhere. That field used to be coffee. That field was coffee last year. Now it's tremendous switching to soybeans and corn, especially soybeans. And so, they get two and a half crops out of that ground. They could price their crop, 6 months, they price it. If it doesn't work out, they get their money quicker. It's just, the coffee, man, you put a tree down, you got to, husband along, fourth year, fifth year, finally, maybe, make it it's a bigger, longer term investment. And so, it's becoming it's starting to become an issue now, at least what we saw. So.
Right on. Okay. All right. So let's take a chance here to talk about the corn markets. That's my next question I'll talk to you about. As you look and see what's happening here, we've had some pretty good rallies here this week in the corn and soybean market. We saw some big upward trends, some corrections and those kind of things we saw out there. As we head in towards the end of the year, where I'm at right now, harvest is probably for the most part done by Halloween. It'll be done by Halloween this year. 85% of it will be. I think that's going to be pretty much a kind of a standard across the majority of the Corn Belt. And I guess so as you start taking a look at some of the conversations you've had with people and some of the things you've been hearing, what's your thoughts right now about this final ending total that we can see here by January?
On corn production?
Yeah, corn production.
Yeah. I mean, we've been pretty vocal that we continue to feel that the market has still over, this is too large of an expectation for the crop. I'm not saying it's were they 176 or 177, but I mean, right. I still think we can come down to that 172 area, give or take, or they reduce the acres more. We talked about this. However they do it, I still think the corn crop is over. The numbers are too high. I think the market, the way it's been trading, it almost feels like the market senses that. I think it senses that. And you really think of it this way. There's not going to be anyone in the world that's going to have new, fresh, large supplies until South America harvests their corn crop late spring into the summer is the next time those fresh supplies come in. Other than that, we're the only game in town. If you want a lot of corn, you got to get it from us. We had a decent crop. Wasn't an over the top crop. It was a good, but not great. But it's the export. There's going to be a bit in the export market, and now if there's problems with the corn crop in Brazil again, or people worry about Argentina drought, and maybe the dual corn crop down there is going to miss the mark. Remember, Brazil's got to get theirs. They got to rebuild their stocks and then export. So they got a lot of work cut for them to get themselves back into a comfort zone. I'm not sure they're going to be really excited to export a lot of corn until they get those buffer stocks back up to where they're comfortable again. And so it's hard to see the corn market. I mean, it can always fall for a little while, and all this like any market can. But I mean, it's hard to see the corn market really have a substantial correction below low fives. And then you got the fertilizer price situation that makes it even more unlikely. I don't know. I think corn's fairly priced in the near term. I think it's undervalued in the longer term, meaning I think the nearby price has probably got it about right for right now. But the deferred December 22 corn in the low to mid fives, woefully undervalued. If I'm a livestock producer, I'm wanting to do something to lock in that price, to buy cash against that price. Whatever I need to do. If I'm in the livestock business, I want to lock that price in. That's going to be, I think, a really really good price when we get into the spring and the summer and we get into this chaotic planting season and such. I just think low, it's kind of like what we said last year, December 21 corn, remember a year ago, that was a tremendous value. And I feel the same way, just at a higher level. So,
yep, absolutely. Okay. So I can't let you get away without talking about this. This is we have a chance for snow on Sunday and Monday as well. And then moving through the rest of the week, our lows are pretty much in, the 20s, like anywhere between 21 to 27, depending on the day. Talk about this weather forecast that you see happening here over the next couple of weeks, and kind of what your thought process is as we look closer towards that time frame you laid out for this possible polar vortex coming in mid-November 1st December time frame.
I mean, for months and months and months, even into the beginning of the year, we've been talking about how November would be the transition month where we get out of the hot October that we're in and we start really kicking it into the early starting to the winter. We have this sudden stratospheric warming event we talked about. Typically 30 days after it fully presents itself, which it should here in early November. You have the upper air flow pattern is starting to really change, Casey. It's really starting to change. It's nothing like it was a year ago. And so we're starting to get some cold, nothing extreme, but we're starting to get some cold temperatures now. But I really would be looking at that back half of November into the early part of December for something a little more serious than, okay, it's cold, we got our first cold snap, that sort of thing. I mean, I think that's it's developing very similarly to what we saw last year when we had this sudden stratospheric warming event in late December, January, and then we had the February polar vortex. It's setting a there's a lot of similarities to it. I'm feeling it's a really good chance we get a shot down on something like that here, especially back half of November, early December. I think that's the window where I'd be really paying attention to big changes in the weather forecast models for that to happen. So yeah, it's shaping up that way because it goes from highs here in the 50s, 60s. I think today's high is 60. Well, I remember the storms that hit California and Washington, Oregon.
Yeah,
they actually, if you didn't know that they occurred in California, if you just looked at the storm for what it is, it actually reached a Category 4 status. In fact, in terms of winds and the low pressure, I think the pressure got down to, was it 979 or something? I mean, it had the characteristics of a Category 4 hurricane with the wind and the swirl. It was a hurricane. It was that cyclobombogenesis. Bombogenesis, I've seen it 3 times. It was a bombogenesis storm, and they are saying that there's another one coming behind it. That's all part of this winter cycle, these undulating change in the weather patterns. Remember, everyone a few weeks back was saying, "Oh, the West is stay dry, 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 dry." What happened? Now they're getting storms like they've never seen before, and so the West is gonna be good. We're not going to be talking about Western drought next year. It just we may be talking about too much rain, and like we're seeing, and that's unfortunate. But I don't see drought being the storyline, at least into the early part of the summer. It's going to be, oh my gosh, look at this snowpack melt. Look at the flooding. How are we going to get this crop? Oh my gosh, here's a late season freeze. What are we going to do? And we have no ending stocks. What are we going to do? I think that's the storyline that we're starting to set up here in November. So I'd continue to think and prepare and anticipate. If I'm in the livestock business, if I'm a producer, what would you, if you think Crazy Shawn's correct, what would you do differently? If that's kind of whether we have, what would you do differently to manage that better on the farm? And I would say, even if you think I'm somewhat nuts and you're not confident enough, like others may be, because you haven't heard me long enough, just take some action. Doesn't have to be 100%. Take 20%. Do something to put yourself in a position where at least you can do a little bit better than you would have otherwise. Because I really think this is going to happen. So,
yep, it's shaping up that way. And like I said a million times on here, you have not been you've not been wrong. I mean, your time stuff you said has all happened. So it's been a fun adventure because I still sometimes think you're nuts, even though you've proven yourself right over and over and over again.
Well, I can tell my wife thinks I'm nuts. My daughter thinks I'm nuts. My cats think I'm nuts.
My wife, daughter, and sons all think I'm nuts too, so we must have something in common.
But doesn't mean that the information is incorrect. Just means that we think, if you're going to think differently, you're wired a little differently. We think a little differently. Or else, who's going to be thinking about planets and sunspots and polar vortexes and sunstruck? You got to be a little crazy and nuts to be interested in that. But I really am interested, and it's served my customers well. So
yes, and Monday Night Football. I'm watching Monday Night Football, and they're playing, and Peyton Manning and Eli Manning are talking about some bombogenesis. They can't even pronounce it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, mom, I know exactly what that is.
Their offensive strategy is the bombogenesis strategy.
I don't know, man. Well, I tell you what, there's a great place to go look at all the stuff that you have done with sample reports, podcasts, those kind of things. Shawn, where's that at to go find that stuff out? It's at
Hackett, HACKETT, advisors.com. As you know, there's interviews, white papers, sample reports, market to market episodes with you, all kinds of things that really give people a good flavor for what we do and to see if that may be of value to your listeners.
Right on, man. Well, I am Casey Seymour with Shawn Hackett here. If you want to learn some more about what we have going on, check me out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at MovingIronLLC.com. Also go to MovingIronLLC.com, and you can see all the stuff that's there to have all the information you want. Also go to, make sure you check out Shawn's website because there's a lot of good information there that's just there for the taking. So with that, I'm Casey Seymour, Shawn Hackett. Let's go some iron, folks. Out. You want to have a meaningful competitive advantage to help sell more equipment. Whether you represent the sales, parts, or management department of an implement dealership, there's a surprising amount of complexity when it comes to tire, wheel, and track technology. Let Axon worry about that so you can get back to supporting your customers. Axon has leveraged years of experience to create a streamlined process that gives you a proven path to help today's grower and sell more equipment. The roots of their organization go back almost 100 years to the invention of the rubber tractor tire. Supporting agriculture is the number one driver of Axon from product development through sales and service. To find more or become an Axon dealer, head over to axontire.com.
Moving iron in the 21st century. Hard-working people